Hello, and welcome to another amazing video from ourtruehistory.co.uk. Nephilim, giants. Unlike every other video people make, this will get straight to the facts.
Here's mainstream's version of the Nephilim. The Nephilim are mysterious beings mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, often described as giants or figures of great strength and power. They are primarily referenced in the books of Genesis, Numbers, and possibly Ezekiel. While the exact nature of the Nephilim is debated, they are generally understood to be the offspring of a union between sons of God and daughters of men.
First, we shall look at the mentions in the Bible. Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, Genesis 6:1-4, describes the Nephilim as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men existing before the flood. The exact wording of Genesis 6:1-4 from the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, using the New Revised Standard Version, NRSV, is, "When people began to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took wives for themselves of all that they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in mortals forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went in to the daughters of humans, who bore children to them. These were the heroes that were of old, warriors of renown. But we have to look at the big picture. Like I did when I solved the mark of the beast, we have to look at the whole texts, and not just from the modern Revised Bible. Let's look at Young's literal translation, Genesis 6, Young's literal translation, 6. And it cometh to pass that mankind have begun to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters have been born to them. Two and sons of God see the daughters of men that they are fair, and they take to themselves women of all whom they have chosen. 3. And Jehovah saith, My spirit doth not strive in man, to the age. In their erring they are flesh, and his days have been 120 years. 4. The fallen ones were in the earth in those days, and even afterwards, when sons of God come in unto daughters of men, and they have born to them, they are the heroes, who from of old are the men of name. 5. And Jehovah seeth that abundant is the wickedness of man in the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart only evil all the day. 6. And Jehovah repenteth that he hath made man in the earth, and he grieveth himself unto his heart. 7. And Jehovah saith, I wipe away man whom I have prepared from off the face of the ground, from man unto beast, unto creeping thing, and unto fowl of the heavens, for I have repented that I have made them. 8. And Noah found grace in the eyes of Jehovah. I shall break this down.
And it cometh to pass that mankind have begun to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters have been born to them. This passage refers to the Homo sapiens. At the point in the Bible, the Homo sapiens that were created by the Anunnaki, see my other videos for evidence, had been on Earth around 200,000 years. This means they were created 300,000 years ago, then 200,000 years later, 100,000 years ago. Then Anunnaki gods started to breed with them. Please watch my documentary that proves the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible. And sons of God see the daughters of men that they are fair, and they take to themselves women of all whom they have chosen. Here is a passage from the translation of tablets in Columbia University, translated by the Moore Hens.
The igigi migrated from Lamu to Earth in great numbers. Only 1/3 of the population survived on Lamu, and 200 were taken to Earth. They said they were required to attend the wedding of their chieftain Marduk. Enki and Enlil were unaware of their plan, which consisted of conjugation. Numerous igigi on Lamu gathered together, unknown to Earth's authorities. What Marduk authorized is also ours, and it must be maintained, they said to each other. Enough of sorrow and loneliness. Never have children. This was their motto. The Earthlings' daughters, also known as Adapite females, were often seen during their travels between Lamu and Earth. They beheld them and lusted for them, and the conspirators whispered to one another, "Let's marry Adapite women and have children." Shamgar, the name of their commander, was one of them. "Even if no one else agrees, I shall carry out the action." He told the others that if punishment was imposed for this transgression, he would face it alone on your behalf. Others in the scheme joined them separately, and they swore an oath to carry out the plan. By the time of Marduk's wedding, 200 guests had arrived at the landing site. They dropped onto the vast platform of the Cedar Mountains. They traveled to Eridu, passing through regions where Earthlings worked, and arrived with the Earthling population. After Marduk and Sopanit's wedding ceremony, Shamgar signaled the others. Each igigi kidnapped a young woman from Earth and brought her to their landing site in the Cedar Mountains. They established a foothold there and challenged the leaders. "Enough with the deprivation and childlessness. We hope that the Adapite girls will wed. You must bless this, or we shall burn the whole planet to the ground."
So we have both the Sumerian texts and the Bible talking about younger sons that took human women. Now back to the Bible.
And Jehovah saith, My spirit doth not strive in man to the age. In their erring they are flesh, and his days have been 120 years. The Bible has mixed this part up. Jehovah was Enki. But this passage doesn't belong here. What this is talking about is when the Anunnaki created us again a second time. This was after the flood, around 9000 BC, when they created the second type of human they called black-headed people, and they limited their lives to 120 years. Please see my video called Anunnaki Created Us Twice for evidence. The fallen ones were in the earth in those days, and even afterwards when sons of God come in unto daughters of men, and they have borne to them. They are the heroes, who, from of old, are the men of name. This passage is back at the correct time frame, 100,000 years ago. The igigi, which were the younger Anunnaki, the sons of the gods, were called heroes before this even took place.
From the tablets, Atrahasis, talking about the igigi on Mars. Enlil made his voice heard and spoke to the vizier Nusku, "Have the 50 Lamu heroes fetched for me, have them brought into my presence." The 50 Lamu heroes were fetched for him. The warrior Enlil addressed them. "We, the great Anunna, all of us, agreed together on a plan. I have said in the past that I think these might have been horses, but I'm leaning towards the igigi."
They were heroes because they were the ones mining and staying on the planet Mars on the away station. And Jehovah seeth that abundant is the wickedness of man in the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart only evil all the day. This is another passage that the time frame is wrong. This one is talking about after the Nephilim were born. And Jehovah repenteth that he hath made man in the earth, and he grieveth himself unto his heart. Again, this belongs with the previous text and not back 100,000 years ago. 7. And Jehovah saith, I wipe away man whom I have prepared from off the face of the ground, from man unto beast, unto creeping thing, and unto fowl of the heavens, for I have repented that I have made them.
This is even wrong. It doesn't say Jehovah because that would have been Enki, and he wouldn't have said that. Enlil would have said that. Let's look at the original wording. And the Lord said, see, it didn't say Jehovah. That was added.
Again, this belongs with the previous text, and not back 100,000 years ago. 8. And Noah found grace in the eyes of Jehovah. Again, this belongs with the previous text, and not back 100,000 years ago. There's something important we need to look at. The word Nephilim, and Pylium in Hebrew, is commonly translated as fallen ones. The word Nephilim, and Pylium, comes from the root nfl, which means to fall. The plural form Nephilim could therefore be literally interpreted as those who have fallen or fallen ones. So there may be some issues here. As it stands, we have two options for the Nephilim. 1. They were the sons of gods, igigi, and were called Nephilim, because they were the ones that stole human women, as said in the Bible. 2. The Nephilim were the sons of the igigi, which were the sons of the gods, and when they had relations with human women, some of their children had gigantism. Let's look at the first one, to see if it was the sons of gods that were the Nephilim. To do this, we need to look at every translation with the word Nephilim.
Genesis 6:4 Hebrew, the Nephilim were on the earth. Masoretic text. One of only two canonical uses of the exact word Nephilim. Numbers 13:33. Hebrew, Visham Ra'inu et Hanephilim. Masoretic text. Second and last canonical use of Nephilim. Book of Jubilees. 5:1-2, 7:21-25. Yes, fragments like 4, Q225 contain retellings of Genesis 6. Some use the word empyrean directly. Note, most versions, especially Ethiopic, paraphrase instead. Hebrew DSS fragments confirm use. Book of Giants. Qumran fragments, igigi 4, Q530, 4, Q531. Written in Aramaic, uses Nephilim, the Aramaic equivalent of Hebrew Nephilim. Appears in discussions of Watcher's offspring. So there's not that many that mentions the word Nephilim, but there are other texts that refer to giants, which I'll cover after going through these. Let's look at the first one. Genesis 6:4 Hebrew Study Bible, Apostolic, Shagshi, Interlinear. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. The same were the mighty men who were born from the earth. Now let's look at Young's literal Bible. The fallen ones were in the earth in those days, and even afterwards when sons of God come in unto daughters of men, and they have born to them. They are the heroes, who, from of old, are the men of name. There's two different versions. One says Nephilim, the other says the fallen ones. As mentioned before, some people translate the Nephilim to mean fallen ones. If we take both versions as the meaning the fallen ones and they are giants, then they were here before the sons of God, igigi, came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. But the story is that the Nephilim were offspring from the sons of God. You can't have the giant Nephilim here before the sons of God bred with the humans, women to give birth to the Nephilim. Let's look at it the other way, that the fallen ones are not Nephilim, meaning two different races, shall we say, and the translation is correct with Young's version, where it says, the fallen ones were in the earth in those days. This would make sense because the igigi were on earth in those days, and even afterwards when sons of God come in unto daughters of men, and they have born to them. Again, if we continue the thought that these were the igigi mentioned in this passage, then it makes sense, because the igigi left Earth, I would guess, around 250,000 years ago to be on Mars as an away station. But they did return, and even afterwards, when sons of God come in unto daughters of men, and they have born to them, this would have been around 90,000 years ago, fits perfectly that they were here on Earth then, after a huge time away, came back. Now let's look at Numbers 13:33 Hebrew. Visham Ra'inu et Hanphiliim. Masoretic text. Second and last canonical use of Nephilim. New American Standard Bible. There also we saw the Nephilim. The sons of Anak are part of the Nephilim. And we became like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. Young's literal Bible. And there we saw the Nephilim, sons of Anak, of the Nephilim, and we are in our own eyes as grasshoppers, and so we were in their eyes. Anak is described in the Hebrew Bible as the forefather of the Anakim, a tall or mighty people living in Canaan.
However, there is no evidence at all that Anak was single person. I've looked, I can't find it. But everyone assumes Anak was a single male person.
But if we look properly, you'll see there is more suggestion the Anak was a shortened name for the Anunnaki. In order to work out who the Nephilim were, Sadly, we do need to look at the words Anak and see where that fits in. Numbers 13:22. Hebron, where Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai, sons of Anak, were living. Numbers 13:28. We saw the race of Anak there. Numbers 13:33. We saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak. Joshua 15:13. Kiriath Arba, the father of Anak, that is Hebron. Joshua 15:14. Caleb drove out the 3 sons of Anak, Shishai, Ahiman, and Talmai. Joshua 21:11. The city of Arba, the father of Anak, Hebron. Judges 1:20. Caleb, who destroyed from there the 3 sons of Anak. I'll go through them one by one.
Numbers 13:22, and they go up by the south, and come in unto Hebron, and there are Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, children of Anak, and Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. Hebron, Hebrew, Hebron, located in the hill country of Judah, 30 kilometers, 20 miles, south of Jerusalem. We can break this down easy. If Anak was the single male giant, then the Bible is wrong because at least 10 to 15 named giants across the Bible, likely hundreds spread over multiple clans and regions. Legends, like those in 1 Enoch or Jubilees, suggest whole generations of giants. So if the children of Anak, as stated, Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, children of Anak, then, because the Bible names 10 to 15 giants, they wouldn't be the 3 children of Anak, they would be the children of the 3 children. Unless the Anak are the igigi when they came down and stole women and had kids, they went up high, is the Moorhen translation. Remember in the Bible it said the children of Anak were at Hebron, Hebrew, Hebron, located in the hill country of Judah, the 30 kilometers, 20 miles, south of Jerusalem. One of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, built on a ridge at about 3,050 feet, 930 meters above sea level. Wow, pretty much the same as the igigi.
Each igigi kidnapped a young woman from Earth and brought her to their landing site in the Cedar Mountains. They established a foothold there and challenged the leaders.
Moving on to the passage, Numbers 13:28. Only, surely the people which is dwelling in the land is strong, and the cities are fenced very great, and also children of Anak we have seen there. I have suggested for a long time that only some of the children from Igigi and Anunnaki had gigantism. That explains why the 3 sons, as mentioned in last passage, were normal and not giants. Numbers 13:33. And there we saw the Nephilim, sons of Anak of the Nephilim. And we are in our own eyes as grasshoppers, and so we were in their eyes.
As you can see, that doesn't make sense. And there we saw the Nephilim, sons of Anak, of the Nephilim, who are identified as the sons of Anak, who themselves come from the Nephilim. However, later Bibles have changed this so they can push their narrative.
Joshua 15:13. And to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, hath he given a portion in the midst of the sons of Judah, according to the command of Jehovah to Joshua, even the city of Arba, father of Anak. It is Hebron. This could be read that Jehovah was father of the Anak. I have already done a video showing Jehovah was Enki. Did Enki have children that were igigi? Technically, when Marduk first came to earth, he was classed as an igigi, but he had younger brother. So yes, Enki did have igigi as children. 14. And Caleb is dispossessing thence the 3 sons of Anak, Sheshai, and Ahiman, and Talmai, children of Anak. This is just saying the same as what we have already mentioned about 3 sons of Anak, Joshua 21:11. The city of Arba, the father of Anak, Hebron. After the Israelites had settled in the Promised Land and the other tribes had received their territories, Joshua 13-20, Joshua 21 details how the Levites, who had no land inheritance, were given cities to live in among the other tribes. Judges 1:20, or Caleb, who destroyed from there the 3 sons of Anak. Here are possible alternative interpretations or translations of Bini Anak depending on context and nuance. While the simplest and most straightforward translation is sons of Anak, it can also be understood as descendants or clan members of Anak, members of a giant lineage connected to Anak, people associated with Anak's family, tribe, or identity. Now that makes way more sense. Book of Jubilees 5:1-2, 7:21-25. There's not really Book of Giants Qumran fragments, e.g. 4 Q530, 4 Q531. Written in Aramaic, uses Nephilim, the Aramaic equivalent of Hebrew Nephilim. Appears in discussions of Watcher's offspring.
Book of Jubilees 5:1-2, 7:21-25. There's not really any mention of the word Nephilim. Book of Giants. There seems to be some disagreements if the book has the word Nephilim in it. The earliest known appearance of the term Nephilim, Pelion, Nephilan, in the Book of Giants occurs in the Aramaic fragment 4, Q530, column 3, line 8. A fuller contextual snippet around that line reads, "And all the giants, Ushbilan, and the Nephilim, Wanephilim." However, the Book of Giants does not contain the word Nephilim, or any variant, in any of its surviving fragments. There is no passage where Nephilim appears with words before or after it because the term is absent entirely. What the Book of Giants does say about the giant's origin, the closest equivalent passages. 1 Q23, fragments 9 + 14 + 15. Line 5, they begat giants. Words around giants, begat giants. Context. This summarizes the descent of the Watchers and the birth of the giants, directly parallel to Genesis 6:4. It uses giants, Gibberin, instead of Nephilim. This means we have finished looking at the word Nephilim, which seems to be used by different people to either say they are the children of Anak or alludes to the children of Anak. I think using the information I've pointed out, Anak were the igigi, and possible also the Anunnaki. Now I'll look at the giants.